Walking in town, he wants to ask where he is, but people run away from him. He realizes it must be due to wearing a mask and he removes it, but the crowd starts calling him a pervert as he only wears his boxers. As he walks around, he still isn't able to figure anything and tells Hiroyuki he will find him food for the night. He gets approached by Misha and Wolfgang, who intend to sell Hiroyuki. As Genzo sees Misha, he gets excited that she has animal ears, but then sees Wolfgang and gets even more excited. Seeing his scary, excited face, they try to leave, but Genzo tackles Wolfgang and starts rubbing his face in his chest and sniffing it. They aren't able to remove him from Wolfgang, and as he keeps rubbing and scratching his chest, felt so good that was defeated. Genzo then turns towards Misha, but in that moment hears a girl crying and not wanting to be sold, but is willing if they are going to feed her. As he looks, he sees she has wolf ears and gets really excited. He faces Edgar, the one who is about to sell Shigure, and Misha warns him that Genzo is a pervert. Genzo explains he isn't a pervert and that he is just a man who loves animals. Not knowing Edgar's intention of bringing Shigure, he thinks Edgar is a bad person for making the wolf girl cry. Genzo goes to Edgar and slams him. Misha and Wolfgang help him get up and start leaving. Seeing her go, Genzo realizes he didn't pet Misha and heads her way. But as Shigure thanks him, he stops and goes to talk to her. He thinks she is going to be sold as a slave, but Shigure explains it is due to her borrowing money from him and not returning it, and she made an agreement with him to sell her if she doesn't return the money. At a castle, Hanako is looking at a magazine and the deserts it is featured. She is then called for dinner where she is annoyed the meal is again goblin, troll, and orc meat as she wants to eat some more delicious food. The next day, Genzo and Shigure head to the forest to complete a quest to conquer some soldier monkeys. As they meet them, Genzo manages to tame them with some apples. As he has already gathered lots of demon beasts, Genzo thinks of finding a safe place for them so that they won't be stolen. They then go to take on a new quest, and the highest paying one is about orcs. Seeing they are not animals, Genzo isn't excited, but since they are paid a lot, he agrees to do it. On the way, they encounter a unicorn, which Genzo names Mommy. As they almost reach the orcs' village, Genzo tells Shigure to wait outside the village and decides to face them alone. Entering their village, he challenges the orc king and dropkicks him from the start. Even though he is hit several times, Genzo is not injured in the slightest. He uses his wrestling skills and manages to defeat the orc king. As the king is defeated, the other orcs announce him as the new king. On the next morning, he shakes hands with the orc king, admits his prowess, and leaves the orc king in charge. He goes on to tell the orcs to stay loyal to the king. Genzo and Shigure return to the guild and get enough money to buy a place to live. However, as he wants to run a business, he goes to get a loan from the government, but is shocked to learn that he needs to have 20 of the sum. Genzo then gets back and takes his animal mask and heads into town using a cage and pet food to trap her. As soon as he sets the trap, she gets caught in it. He wants to ask her something, but at that moment villagers see them and call him a pervert as he is naked and puts on a mask. After escaping from the villagers, Carmilla comes telling him to get away from Hanako. But while she keeps talking, Genzo and Hanako start throwing rocks at her. She then jumps and attacks Genzo, but he ends up defeating her. At their house, he takes off his mask and Hanako is surprised that the man is Genzo. Hanako then decides to tell him everything and starts saying her real name is Linda Bulia. Hanako explains she was from the Fafnir family. Learning that the Fafnir family is one of the 4 that served the Demon King, Shigure doesn't want to hear and know anything about Hanako. At that moment, Carmilla appears. She wonders where the masked person who defeated her is, but Hanako explains that they have nothing to do with this and she will return to the castle. Carmilla explains she needs to kill the humans as the information about the Fafnir family is top secret. Shigure then quickly gives Genzo holy water and tells her to use it against Carmilla. As he splashes it on her face, she falls to the ground in pain. Shigure then gives Genzo garlic to put in Carmilla's mouth. But then Hanako interrupts them, asking if they can forgive Carmilla, and explains she is her servant who just was trying to return her home. Genzo asks Hanako why she ran. Hanako explains she wants to taste better food. She then tells Genzo she decides to help with the pet shop as she could be close to Hiroyuki. Shigure tells her they still haven't started it, so they can't afford to hire someone, but Hanako explains she doesn't need money as long as she has where to stay and has food. Later, they learn that Carmilla is the one attacking the people. At that moment, Genzo goes behind her and goes for a German suplex, knocking her out. The guild master and he offers them to do the griffin quest. Shigure shows the quest to Genzo and he instantly accepts it. While going for the griffin, Genzo learns that they give birth to 2 chicks and make them fight and keep only the winner. Soon after that, they meet 2 griffins and see 2 chicks fight. As one of them loses, Genzo rushes and takes the losing one, so 2 adult griffins then start chasing them, Carmilla tries to fight but gets easily defeated, but Genzo cares more about the baby griffin than Carmilla, as she doesn't have a tail and animal ears, and he refuses to rescue her. Shigure tells Genzo to return the chick, but Genzo refuses as he will take care of it and raise it at home. The two adult griffins fly and surround them. Genzo and Hanako stay fighting them, while Shigure leaves with the baby griffin. As Genzo sees an opening, he jumps on the griffin and starts rubbing his head, but soon after that is slammed into a rock and knocked out. Hanako then cannot control herself as she wants to taste the griffin meat and goes on a bit one. But as she doesn't enjoy the taste, she grabs Carmilla and Genzo and runs away. At their house, Shigure is relieved that Hanako comes back with the others. As they didn't defeat the griffin, they didn't get the reward. Soon the baby griffin Kyoko grows big and Genzo is excited, while Shigure worries that it will be more money for food. Shigure goes to complain again at the bar, but is a bit happy as she has sold the legendary weapons she took from Heat Haze for a nice sum. Mayo then spends his days, feeling sad and depressed, refusing to fight anyone else except Animal Mask. In the meantime, Genzo is looking at a new animal he named Masao. He wants to stay at its side until it wakes up, afraid that it may feel sad when there is no one. Shigure forces him to go do some work, leaving Hiroyuki at the house. As they leave, Wolfgang and Misha are waiting for them to leave. Wolfgang plans they kidnap and sell Hiroyuki so that he can get revenge for what Genzo did to him. He starts explaining his plan. He wants to lure Hiroyuki with meat and Misha to grab him, and they run. Genzo and the rest are on a quest, but cannot find the plant they were looking for. Genzo then says he has a bad feeling and wants to go back, but Shigure figures he is lying as he just isn't interested in the plant. At Edgar's place, Edgar comes back to see Misha and Wolfgang on the ground. He wonders what happened, and Misha explains they went with the plan to kidnap Hiroyuki, but as they tricked it with the meat and he came, looking at it at a close distance, Wolfgang found Hiroyuki cute and started playing with him. Then Jigi came out, and as Misha was faster, she managed to run, but Jig caught Wolfgang and did some things to him, which gave Wolfgang another trauma. In the forest, they hear a cry and Shigure realizes that it is the Dradur Dagola they are looking for. As she points in the direction of the cry, Genzo goes running excited that they are demon beasts. Soon after, he is disappointed that they are talking plants. Shigure tries to convince him they are cute, but Genzo isn't getting tricked. He says that the Dradur Dagola is not cute at all. At the castle, Joanna has permission from the Demon King to summon a Demon King from another world to fight the hero that Altina had summoned. As she performs the summoning, Mao appears. She then introduces herself and wants him to help them defeat the hero that Altina had summoned. Rose shows him a poster of the hero and Mao starts laughing, saying he found where Animal Mask is hiding. Joanna is surprised that Mao knows him, but Mao tells her there is more between them than just knowing each other. Joanna comments that with her hatred and Mao's hatred, the power of the dark side will grow, and this time she may crush her foe, Hanako. Joanna then recalls how she was training and was told she might win the next tournament, but at the tournament, she was easily defeated by Hanako. Joanna requested a rematch, but Hanako wanted to eat, so Joanna gave her lunch. After that, they fought again, but Joanna lost, again and again. After that, Joanna got obsessed with Hanako and started observing her to learn how she got such strength. Years later at a party, Hanako wasn't able to recognize who Joanna was. Joanna then talked about Carmilla and that she was a lesser vampire, telling Hanako she could get a better servant, planning to send an elder vampire that would find Hanako's weakness, but Hanako declined the offer. Joanna then wanted her to face Rose, and if she would win, Joanna would accept Carmilla, and Hanako quickly accepted, as she wanted to go to the party and eat. As they met later at a quiet place, Rose and Carmilla started fighting. Carmilla put up a good fight but ended up losing. She then started clinging to Rose's skirt and pulling her, saying that he couldn't lose, while Rose was trying to hold her skirt, embarrassed, telling her to let go. Hanako then asked for the fight to stop, and Joanna told her she would arrange her a new, better elder vampire as a servant, but Hanako told her she still wanted to use Carmilla. Joanna then asked for Hanako to get on her knees, and to her surprise, Hanako did. Feeling like this was her first win over Hanako, Joanna left. While they were going back, the cart stopped and Joanna and Rose went to see what was going on. They saw Hanako, who apologized for how useless Carmilla was, but she was trying to do everything for her. so she was thinking that Carmilla was someone precious to her and didn't want to lose her. Joanna thought that Hanako would want them to not reveal that Carmilla lost, but instead, Hanako took her clothes off and transformed into a dragon, challenging Joanna to a fight. While both Joanna and Rose were trembling in fear from what they were seeing, and Hanako ended up beating both. At present, Joanna says that Hanako had left her castle the moment the hero arrived, so she thinks that Hanako went after him to gain glory, and she wants to find and defeat the hero before her. Genzo tells Carmilla to get out of the soil and to work, but she wants to stay there more to fully recover. She thinks she was useful during the last quest, but Genzo tells her she just went and got eaten instantly. Genzo gives up and decides to bury Carmilla with more soil. Genzo tells Carmilla to get out of the soil and to work, but she wants to stay there more to fully recover. She thinks she was useful during the last quest, but Genzo tells her she just went and got eaten instantly. Genzo gives up and decides to bury Carmilla with more soil. Silas enters the pet shop saying she is a hunter looking for Genzo, and points at him saying he is the demon beast killer. Genzo then does a quick chop to the head, taking her down, and then follows with a figure 4 leg lock, making her give up from pain and apologize. Carmilla feels Silas's pain, as she perfectly knows how painful his techniques are. Genzo asks her what she is doing there, and Silas introduces her again, saying that the guildmaster has told her Genzo is strong, so she wants to become his student, but Genzo refuses. Silas keeps insisting, saying she will repay him, even with her body if necessary. But Genzo still refuses, saying she can return when she looks like a kobold. She's a bit annoyed he finds her less attractive than a kobold, and keeps insisting, but as Genzo is about to make another move and touch her stomach, she backs off, apologizing and saying she will return some other time. Genzo then stops her and lifts her shirt, seeing scales and realizing she is a lizard man. Silas then confirms that her ancestors are lizard men and she has scales on her stomach and back. The girls quickly tell her to not show them, as Genzo's eyes are already looking at her dangerously. Genzo then tells her he will be taking her as a student. Genzo starts training her but is focusing only on the scale parts. The others also join in her training. He eventually decides she is well trained and gives her a mask calling her Seals XL. She accepts it. As they walk back, Klaus appears in front of them. And at their house, he proposes they hold a fighting tournament where Genzo can fight and they will pay him. As his muscles get excited, he accepts. Klaus has prepared a ring following Genzo's instructions, and Genzo goes to check it. As he approves it, Klaus and Shigure are ready to start the tournament. But Genzo feels something is missing and realizes it is animals. Shigure explains they can't have animals, but Genzo refuses to listen and insists. Klaus then proposes they can use beastmen as wrestlers, and hearing that, Genzo realizes he can touch them as much as he wants while he wrestles them. Miss Kobold then appears and Genzo goes to her and starts giving her compliments. Although he likes the compliment, Miss Kobold says she won't betray her husband. As she mentions her husband, Genzo gets an idea and tells her he will be going to her house. Miss Kobold thinks he's going to fight her husband to steal her and follows him too. As they go into her house, Mr. Kobold returns and sees Genzo staring at him. Genzo compliments Mr. Kobold, saying that he has well-built body. Miss Kobold tells them to not fight over her, and hearing that, Mr. Kobold realizes she is taking more time picking groceries, trimming her nails, and fixing her fur for him. They start fighting and Genzo manages to beat him, and then tells him he can become a good wrestler. As Mr. Kobold remembers his past, he decides to follow that dream again and goes with Genzo. Wolfgang refuses to leave their house as he can encounter Genzo. Misha tries calming him and says that they will stay away from Genzo, so they won't meet him. But at that moment, Genzo shows up. Genzo asks Wolfgang to be a pro wrestler and to fight him. But hearing that, Wolfgang freaks even more and starts trembling in fear while refusing the offer. Seeing Wolfgang in fear, Misha asks Genzo if she can become a pro wrestler too. After looking at her tail and ears, Genzo agrees. As they leave, Genzo and Shigure see the orcs planting some flowers and trees as they want to help the town a bit. Returning home, he sees Carmilla drooling over Hanako's dress and Hanako eating the animal's food, so he decides to get them on the ring too. At the ring, Heat Haze isn't sure what a pro wrestler is, but with his new weapon he is ready to take on the quest, but again is beaten by Genzo, and his weapon is taken by Shigure. Genzo then proceeds and explains what pro wrestling is. After that, he lets them spar, but seeing them fighting, he isn't satisfied and explains the fights need to be entertaining. On the day of the tournament, Genzo is feeling tired as he spent all his time trying to teach them how to wrestle and even wrote scripts for the announcers. Hanako is excited about all the food chains, but seeing Shigure having a stand but selling only merchandise, she is disappointed. As the match begins, Hanako is disqualified as she tries to eat the kobold and is put as a commentator, but is mostly commenting on what parts of the orcs are tasty. Genzo still isn't satisfied as it is missing the rivalries and drama. It is time for the main event, where Carmilla is partnered with Genzo as they will face Misha and Heat Haze. Genzo and Carmilla are about to execute a combo, but Carmilla accidentally hits Genzo and they start arguing. Misha and Heat Haze try to use the moment, but are then countered by both Genzo and Carmilla. As they keep fighting, they are about to defeat them when Misha sees Wolfgang in the crowds. He is forced to replace Heat Haze and enters the ring. Misha gets excited saying they will take their revenge, but as the match continues, she is easily beaten by Carmilla, while Wolfgang again ends up being molested by Genzo, and in the end, Genzo and Carmilla win. After the tournament, they went to a party at the guild. Claus tells them they made lots of money and Shigure is happy, but then the vendors come asking for the money for the food, broken stands, the party, etc., and they end up losing all the money they won, which makes Shigure angry. Carmilla is enjoying her food when Genzo asks her to work, but she refuses as she is taking orders only from Hanako. He then tells her to walk Hiroyuki, but as she refuses again, he does a wrestling move on her. She gives up and accepts. Genzo explains that Hiroyuki is one of a kind in this world and is more expensive than her life, so she should call him Mr. Hiroyuki. After the walk, she returns and complains that some children made fun of her and wants everyone to console her, but no one cares. Then Altina enters, finally finding where Genzo is, and says that he is the pervert who revealed her buttocks before all the nobility. Hearing that, Hanako and Carmilla immediately take him down with Carmilla wanting to end his life. Shigure then approaches, telling Genzo to turn himself in. Genzo keeps saying he didn't do that as he has no idea who Altina is. He starts thinking and in the end, realizes she is the one who summoned him, and he instantly goes and does another German suplex to her, again revealing her buttocks for everyone to see. While Joanna is traveling with Mao and Rose, she tells Mao that Hero Genzo defeated a herd of griffins and made the orcs his slaves. They are then stopped by UTs, who want Joanna to pay a toll to pass around them. Mao decides to show them his power and goes and attacks UTs, defeating them with wrestling moves. Joanna is impressed by his power, while Rose is wondering what those strange techniques are. Joanna tries to act like she knows, saying they are assassination techniques from another world. Mao then sees Hiroyuki-looking creature and turns pale. Altina introduces herself and that she is the princess and has come for the hero. Carmilla cannot believe he is a hero as he is just an animal-loving pervert. In the end, Altina says that he will come with her as he needs to go on a journey to defeat the Demon King. Genzo wonders why he needs to do that, and Carmilla explains the hero is the strongest human who murders all the demons, and Altina says that the Demon King is the leader of the demon beasts. Genzo then says he won't be defeating the Demon King, as if he is the leader of the demon beasts, then he can't fight him, and that he also needs to open his pet shop first. Genzo explains his goal is to make people in town accept animals as their family. Shintana thinks Genzo has done something he shouldn't do. Knowing that she is not being able to summon another hero until the current hero dies, Altina has no other choice but to kill Genzo. She calls her guards to finish Genzo, but all of them are easily taken down by Genzo. He then goes to Altina and performs a rolling cradle on her, and again ends up revealing her buttocks to everyone. Altina insists on asking Genzo to defeat the Demon King, but ends up being humiliated all over again. Altina explains that since Genzo defeated her best knight, she has no other option but to keep asking him to defeat the Demon King. Later, Shigure walks Genzo to the guild to figure out about the Demon King. Heat Haze again with a new weapon wants to join and help him kill the Demon King, but he ends up again knocked out and his weapon taken by Shigure. Genzo tells them that the Demon King is all for him and the people start calling him a hero, which he corrects into calling him a wrestler. Genzo ends up not learning anything about the Demon King and comes home. Carmilla then goes to Genzo, saying she knows what the Demon King looks like. She starts telling him he has wings, 3 heads, and tentacles and shoots lasers from his eyes. Genzo then draws a picture from Carmilla's descriptions and gets excited about how the Demon King looks. Altina then comes, asking him again to defeat the Demon King, but Genzo shows a picture of him, saying he can't defeat that cute-looking Demon King. Altina explains that the Demon King's armies had summoned a Demon King from another world. Hearing that there are 2 Demon Kings now, Genzo starts wondering what the new one looks like. Mao then goes to the orcs' village and starts attacking the orcs, asking if they know the animal mask. Looking at his fight style, the orcs comment that his techniques look like Genzo's. The Orc King then appears wondering what is going on. Mao asks for Genzo as he wants to defeat him, but the Orc King refuses to say anything. Genzo then goes to see the Demon King's armies, but there is no trace of them. Shigure comments she can smell they passed recently. Two orcs then see Genzo and head to him to inform him of the situation and how the Orc King lost. They head into the Orc village to see what happened. The orcs explain the man wanted to know where to find Genzo, but the Orc King didn't reveal anything. Then one of the orcs shows a picture of the man who attacked them and that he is Mayo, Demon King from another world. The next day, as Genzo intends to walk Hirayuki, he starts to panic, realizing that Hirayuki is missing. Genzo walks around the town to search for Hirotuki. He encounters Miss Kobold and asks her if she knows Hirayuki. As he's informed that she didn't see him, Genzo immediately leaves her. Hanako and Carmilla search for Hirayuki at different places. Carmilla thinks they shouldn't have to look for him. Princess Altina also tries to help Genzo. She asks someone and mentions Hirayuki's features, but she cannot find anything and people mock her princess buttocks. Shigure uses her smell to locate Hirayuki's smell. She wonders if people kidnapped him with a cage and suspects the kidnapping is intentional. At that time, she meets Claus and explains about missing Hirayuki. Claus tells her he saw Hirayuki in a nobleman's manor. Without further ado, Genzo rushes to the nobleman's manor. The noble refuses to give Hirayuki to him as he bought the dog at a high price from a seller. Besides, Catherine has started to like Maria. Genzo is pissed off and tells him his dog is Hirayuki. The noble doesn't care about that because currently his name is Catherine and he is the pet he bought. Shigure tries to explain to the noble that Hirayuki is their puppy and they come to take it back. Hanako says that even though Hirayuki was kidnapped and sold, the nobleman is not at fault as he didn't know. Altina then says that she will buy Hirayuki. They are then shown the receipt and learn that Hirayuki was sold at a high price. At that moment, Maria shows up with Hirayuki. Genzo approaches to hug him, but Hirayuki goes to his bowl instead. Genzo cries as Hirayuki prefers food to himself. Altina rushes to return to the castle to get the money. He is determined to buy Hirayuki, so that Genzo owes her a favor, and he will obey her order to defeat the Demon King. Meanwhile, Genzo tells Shigure to go home as they don't have much money to buy Hirayuki back. While crying, Genzo bids farewell to Hirayuki. Maria asks if Hirayuki is his puppy, and Genzo confirms that and tells her that Hirayuki is his family, which is always with him all the time. Maria expresses her intention to give Catherine back to him. She imagines if she raised Catherine since baby and lost him, she must be feeling sad. However, her father refuses to give Catherine back for free. He asks Genzo to pay him the cheapest price. Because he doesn't have any money, Genzo tells the others to go home. He thinks Maria is a good girl, and if Hirayuki lives with that noble family, he will definitely be happy. Genzo feels he has to let Maria have Hirayuki. Seeing Genzo sad, Shigure cannot help it, and she takes out her savings which she has collected secretly, and gives it to Genzo. They then return to the noble's house and give the money. Genzo then carries Hirayuki and says that Maria can visit him to play with Hirayuki anytime. Shigure then asks the person who sold Shiroyuki to Maria's father. He then mentions their features and Genzo acknowledges Edgar, Misha, and Wolfgang. Without further ado, Genzo goes to meet them and teach them a lesson. As he returns home, Genzo sees two demon beasts standing in front of their house. Shigure suspects Genzo brought them home, but Hanako smells another scent from inside. As they open the door, they find Mayo, Joanna, and Rose. There, Mayo challenges Genzo to fight him. Klaus suddenly appears and suggests that they hold a second tournament. The next day, Genzo practices hard as his opponent this time is Mao, so he cannot underestimate him. Carmilla goes to Genzo and states she must defeat Rose, and wants him to teach her to be a professional wrestler. While Genzo is practicing with Carmilla, Klaus, Shigure, and Hanako discuss the design of the stadium. Shigure gets excited as Klaus explains the ticket for the VIP class will be sold 10 times the regular ticket. Hanako is also glad as she is informed there are many food stalls around the stadium. In the front yard, Carmilla is annoyed as Genzo only tells her to practice lifting weights. Genzo tells her she can't learn wrestling moves before she finishes the practice. Carmilla stops complaining and goes on practicing as she remembers she wants to win to protect Hanako. A few moments later, Shigure calls Genzo to discuss the match order in the stadium. As they need more players, Genzo and Shigure go to Edgar's place. Wolfgang freaks out as he sees Genzo. Meanwhile, Misha stands in front of Wolfgang and asks Genzo not to disturb them. Genzo then explains he wants Wolfgang and Misha to take part in the wrestling tournament. Wolfgang declines as he is still frightened. However, Shigure manages to convince Wolfgang by offering him high pay. Finally, the lineup for the match is completed. The next day, Hanako and Shigure distribute the tournament flyers to people and ask them all to come. Meanwhile, Seals, Heat Haze, Mr. Kobold, Carmilla, Altina, and also the Orc King are preparing themselves for the match. Finally, the day of the match comes. The ticket queue is full of visitors who are enthusiastic about watching the tournament. In the waiting room, Genzo encourages the participants, asking them to fight earnestly so that whatever the outcome they will have no regrets. Klaus then fires up their spirits by telling them that the winner will get a prize, so they have to do their best. In the waiting room for female participants, Altina is embarrassed because she has to fight in revealing clothes. Meanwhile, Hanako sees Carmilla worried about her match. Hanako calms Carmilla and tells her that she doesn't need to fight for her sake. Not long after, the tournament is opened by an orc, announcing the first match is to begin. The hero team consists of Sealies, Altina, and also Heat Haze against an army of demonic beasts. Altina loses in that round, but Heat Haze and Seals manage to win. In the second match, the Orc King and Mr. Kobold also manage to defeat the Demon King's team. But in the next match, Misha and Wolfgang lose to the Demon King's army. The next match becomes even more heated between Rose and Carmilla. Even though Carmilla is overwhelmed by Rose at first, she manages to knock her out with the wrestling techniques taught by Genzo. However, it turns out that Rose is still able to stand, and because Carmilla is off guard, she falls helpless when Rose fights her back and defeats her. Genzo praises Carmilla even though she loses the match because it is really great. Carmilla then comes down from the arena and apologizes to Hanako for failing to defeat Rose for the second time. Hanako considers her a winner and she is proud of Carmilla. Hanako also gives her the food she bought and makes her cry. In the final match, it is Mao and Animal Max's turn to enter the arena. Mao thinks about his defeat in all the matches against Animal Max and also the hard training he has gone through. He recalls the last match where Animal Max disappeared. Mao is shocked when he sees Animal Max attack him first. The two of them attack each other while discussing how they ended up stranded in that world. Mao slams Animal Max and is shocked when he finds Hirayuki barking next to him. Outside the arena, Shigure finds out that Mao is afraid of Hirayuki. Rose and Joanna also realize that Mao is afraid of cute animals. Not wanting Mao to lose, the two of them trap Hirayuki with food and arrest him. Genzo immediately jumps out of the arena and then chases the two of them who are running with Wolfgang and Misha. After successfully rescuing Hirayuki, Genzo asks G to look after his dog and returns to the arena. The fight becomes even fiercer when all the Demon King's armies and the hero team attack each other. They are busy fighting outside the ring while Mao and Animal Mask attack each other in the arena. Mao jumps onto the rope and slams himself onto Animal Max. When Animal Max manages to stand up, he lunges at Mao and slams him with his signature wrestling technique. Mao is unable to move, so he has to accept his defeat from Animal Max for the umpteenth time and admits that he is no match for Animal Mask. As an animal lover, Animal Mask says he is fighting because he has something to protect. He then reaches out and helps Mao up and then tells him he will always be ready whenever Mao wants to fight him. The referee announces that Animal Mask is the winner. At that time, from behind his mask, Genzo sees how beautiful it will be if humans can coexist with animals. Shigure climbs into the ring and congratulates Genzo because the hero team manages to win. Klaus climbs into the ring and praises Genzo's match. He hands over the trophy and the prize money that Genzo will use to make his dream of opening a pet shop come true. After that, Klaus comes to Shigure to show the total amount she needs to pay for the damage caused by the wrestlers around the arena, the cost of Hanako's food, and also Carmilla's drinks. Shigure is furious because the two of them wasted the payment she should have earned. The next day, at the guild, Genzo and the others gather to hold a victory party. He invites everyone, including the demon beast, to have fun. Genzo hugs a frightened Wolfgang while Misha tries to save him. At another table, Mayo is also enjoying his meal with other demon beasts. Shigure, who comes there, becomes angry because Genzo is wasting money, but when she sees the humans mingling with the demon beasts at the party, Shigure forgets her anger. The next day, Shigure takes the trophy Genzo got and sells it for money. Mayo says goodbye to Genzo to start his new adventure. The guild master then comes to Genzo and tells him a minotaur appeared in the southern valley. When he's told of the large payment he will get if he succeeds in conquering this creature, Shigure immediately becomes excited, as does Hanako, who drools at the thought of the taste of minotaur meat. Genzo agrees to take the job and then invites the others to go meet the minotaur, and the story ends here. This is the end of Hadage Kimono Maichi Season 1. Thank you so much for staying in this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest contents. See you in the next video.